By this time, King Adekunle was now looking like a 1-year-old toddler and could only take little steps like a toddler just learning how to walk. Frustrated, King Adekunle, who was now only able to crawl, crawled one night, unnoticed by the palace guards, to the village river and drowned himself. Once upon a time, in a very great and prosperous village, lived a king called King Adekunle. King Adekunle was not only rich, but was also very good-looking. He also commands great fear and respect among his people. His people feared him as he was harsh and does not spare anyone who gets on his bad side. King Adekunle became king when he was 28 years after his father's death, and he married his queen, Queen Titi, 2 months later. And a year after their marriage, they had a son. They named their son Ademayowa. King Adekunle loves his son Ademayowa not only because he was his first son and heir, but also because they shared the same birthday. King Adekunle was born on the 4th day of the 3rd month of the year, and it is on this same day that his son Ademayowa was also born. And so, every year on their birthday, King Adekunle would throw a big feast to celebrate himself and his son. The years went by fast, and Prince Ademayowa was 7 years already, as he ought to be, because it was 7 years after his birth. However, King Adekunle was not looking aged at all through the 7 years. As a matter of fact, he was looking rather younger, just like the time he was in his early 20s. And because of how young he was looking, his 2 closest friends, Olakunle and Chief Boyega, would tease his wife, Queen Titi, to please tell them the secret in the meals she prepares for the king, so that they would also keep looking young like their friend. More years came and Prince Ademayowa became 15 years old, and the king looked more younger. So much younger that he and his son looked almost as though they were age mates. The king's overly young looks became no longer a thing of joke, as they began to realize that it was no ordinary, because whilst his age mates and every other person were aging as he should be, he was looking rather younger and younger. Is the king aging backwards? The chiefs in council asked, with lots of confusion in their hearts. King Adekunle was more worried. "What is happening to me?" he said, as he stared into the mirror looking at his reflection. He began to dread going out of the palace walls since that time. Baba Fojusi would have been able to explain this mystery to us if only you had not made him leave this village, his wife Queen Titi told him one day. Baba Fojusi was the village's oracle's chief priest. A few years after King Adekunle became king, he had a misunderstanding with Baba Fojusi. Baba Fojusi kept advising King Adekunle against his harsh treatment towards the villagers, especially towards the aged and elderly. Whenever King Adekunle moves around in the village, it is expected that all who sees him must lay flat on the ground to greet him, and so he could place a leg on them, for that was his command immediately he ascended the throne. This he also did to both the young and the aged and elderly, which does not sit well with nature. And it is this act that Baba Fojusi warned and advised King Adekunle against. In anger, King Adekunle asked his guards to take Baba Fojusi to the outskirts of the village and make him leave the village, warning that he should not be allowed to return to the village. And since then, no one has taken over the affairs of the oracle for fear of King Adekunle. And King Adekunle never bothered all these years as he claimed that they do not need any chief priest. But now, he regrets his action as he could not help nor control what is happening to him and wants someone who would help him communicate with the gods. King Adekunle sent messengers to their neighbor village requesting the service of their chief priest because of his condition. But the chief priest would not come because he's aware of how mean King Adekunle is and had heard the story of how he treated Baba Fojusi. King Adekunle sent more messengers to more other neighboring villages, both near and far, and again all their chief priests refused to go see nor help him, rendering King Adekunle helpless. When Prince Ademayowa became 25 years old, King Adekunle was now looking like a little child and only his voice sounded like a mature man. And because of this, the chiefs and elders were confused as to whether they should crown Prince Ademayowa as king or not, because he was to rule next after his father. But their custom forbids them to crown a new king whilst the old king was still alive. One day, Queen Titi had gone to her maternal grandmother's village, which was 3 villages away from theirs. Her grandmother had passed on and she was there to pay her last respects. And there, she met Baba Fojusi. Queen Titi immediately went down on her knees and asked Baba Fojusi to forgive her husband for his foolish acts. She cried as she spoke, and that touched Baba Fojusi. She told Baba Fojusi about her husband's strange condition and he accepted to follow her back to their village. Now, by this time, King Adekunle was now looking like a 1-year-old toddler and could only take little steps like a toddler just learning how to walk. Baba Fojusi arrived at the palace with Queen Titi and was shocked as he could not recognize and believes that the toddler he was looking at was King Adekunle. Afterwards, Baba Fojusi prayed and made some incantations, and he was able to find out that what had happened to King Adekunle was as a result of a curse that was placed on him by an old woman. Many years ago, when King Adekunle had just become king and Queen Titi was pregnant with Prince Ademayowa, King Adekunle was taking his usual occasional walk around the village, and when he got to a particular spot, everyone who saw him lay flat to greet him and for him to place his leg on them. There was one old woman who did not lay flat to greet the king. She was a stranger and did not know about King Adekunle's command. However, she finds it insulting for people her age to lay flat to greet a young man and for his feet to be placed on their back, and so she refused to greet King Adekunle that way. Furious, King Adekunle took a whip from one of his guards and whipped the old woman as punishment for disobeying him. Unknown to him, while he whipped her, the old woman cursed him under her breath. She said that he would never have the honor of experiencing old age, but would rather gradually return to being a child since he has disregarded and dishonored old age. And so, King Adekunle was suffering as a result of what he did to the old woman and by extension, other aged and elderly people. Baba Fojusi told King Adekunle that for the curse to be lifted, he must look for the old woman and plead for her forgiveness. Inquiries were made to find out about the old woman from people who were around on that day and who had witnessed the events. After asking around for a few days, it was revealed that unfortunately the old woman had passed on many years ago, which means that the curse could not be reversed. Frustrated, King Adekunle, who was now only able to crawl, crawled one night unnoticed by the palace guards, to the village river and drowned himself. His body was found floating the next morning by some young girls who had gone to fetch water that morning. It was indeed a pitiable sight. Prince Ademayawa was crowned as king months later, and he treated everyone right, and so much highly honored the aged and elderly, having learned from his father's mistake. Other than Prince Ademayawa, the young people in the village also learned to respect and honor their elders, and never to use their position as a tool to disrespect elders. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story and have learned a thing or two from it. I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video. Bye.